All right, our top focus, something that's resounding in Parliament as well. India in recent weeks have seen heated debates surrounding medieval history. After Aurangzeb's grave debate, Rajput ruler Rana Sangha has brought into its ambit with Rajya Sabha MP Ramjilal Suman in Parliament. Massive ruckus on the floor of the House in Parliament, but a larger connotation on the political fallout back in Uttar Pradesh.
History wars play out in Parliament. The BJP on Friday slammed Samajwadi Party Member of Parliament Ramjilal Suman's description of Rajput ruler Maharana Sanga as a traitor, demanding an apology from the Samajwadi Party Rajya Sabha MP. Union Minister Kiran Rijiju called Suman's statement on Maharana Sangha an insult.
वायलेंस को कोई भी यहाँ जस्टिफाई नहीं कर सकता। इस सदन में देश का हीरो को अगर इंसल्ट करता है तो मैं नहीं मानता हूँ कि ये मुद्दा सिर्फ हमारे रामजीलाल सुमन जी का अकेला का है, लेकिन जो राणा सांगा को लेकर के जो वक्तव्य दिया, अगर यहाँ से हटा भी दिया, वो बाहर सोशल मीडिया और न्यूज में तो वो तो बिल्कुल चल रहा है। और सुन के किसी को कैसे मंजूर होगा जो भाषा और जिस लहजे में माननीय सदस्य जी ने राणा संघा के बारे में बोला है।
The Congress condemned the statement but also criticized the vandalism at the Samajwadi Party MP's house in Agra by the Karni Sena on Wednesday.
इस देश में जो भी पैट्रियट्स हैं, देश के लिए लड़े हैं, उनका मैं सम्मान करता हूं, लेकिन इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि कानून अपने हाथ में लेकर तोड़फोड़ करता है, ये कभी हम नहीं मानेंगे।
Rajya Sabha Chairman Jagdeep Dhankar has expunged the Samajwadi Party MP's statement. The Rajya Sabha was adjourned as the opposition and the Treasury benches sparred over Ramjilal Suman's remarks.
I would appeal to all segments of the House that what happened in the House was expunged for a simple reason. It was outrageous. It was unexpected of a member.
Amidst the uproar about his statement, Ramjilal Suman refuses to apologize for calling Rana Sangha a traitor.
मेरा मकसद किसी का अपमान करने का नहीं था, मुझे जितना कहना था सब कह चुका, नया कुछ कहने के लिए माफी की मांग।
The BJP and the Samajwadi Party have hardened their stance as the controversy snowballs.
वोट बैंक के लिए समाजवादी पार्टी के एमपी कहां तक गिरेंगे? कभी औरंगजेब के लिए सम्मान, कभी शिवाजी का अपमान। क्या मतलब है इसका? ये बर्दाश्त नहीं होगा।
इसी सदन के अंदर पिछले 17वीं लोकसभा में सरेआम एक हमारे मुसलमान सांसद का सरेआम अपमान किया गया, इसी सदन के अंदर किया, कोई कार्रवाई नहीं हुई अध्यक्ष जी।
The fight over Rana Sanga's legacy is shaking up UP politics. Kshatriya outfit Karni Sena went on the rampage outside Samajwadi Party MP Ramjilal Suman's house in Agra on Wednesday. The Samajwadi Party has accused the Yogi Adityanath government of failing to provide security to a Dalit MP.
BJP is saying that there isn't any need of doing the politics of caste when the attack happened on MP, and it's all about politicizing the event. Now it's going to be worth seeing where this PDA politics would lead to, or some other pages of history still are unturned. With cameraman Sandeep Dubey, Samarth Srivastava for India Today.
So, viewers, if you heard my colleague Samarth, the curious case of caste comes into a controversy which resonated in Parliament about Rana Sangha. One would have thought it would be more to do with a Hindu-Muslim kind of debate, but not quite. Why has it become caste-based? Because, and especially resounding in Uttar Pradesh, because Ramjilal Suman the MP who called Rana Sanga a traitor is a Dalit. On the other hand, the Karni Sena that attacked the house of Ramji Lal Suman, who's a Dalit, comes from the Rajput community, Thakurs, called in Uttar Pradesh. Just before we get into the meat of it, I want to give you the caste combinations in Uttar Pradesh. The upper caste comprises in totality of 20%. Look at the micro data there. Kshatriyas would largely be Thakurs, comprise 6%. OBC is 39%, but then I'd like you to look at, and we'll go on to the Dalit and the Jatavs. And that is 12% Dalits and 21% Dalits in all, Jatavs 12%, Valmikis and other categories of Dalit about 9%. So 21% are Dalits. And strangely, because of the caste calculations, the issue which resounded in Parliament about Rana Sanga became Dalit versus Thakurs, or Dalit versus Rajputs in Uttar Pradesh. Dalit, the MP who called Rana Sanga a traitor, then the Rajputs, the community that Rana Sanga came from, took offense, the Karni Sena, and vandalized the house of the Dalit MP. So the Rajput versus Dalit cauldron now boiling in Uttar Pradesh. Why is it all the more interesting? Because if we hark back all the way, viewers, and I want to give you the Lok Sabha election data in terms of how both the Dalits and the Rajputs voted. Very, very interesting. If you look at that, the upper caste mostly voted for the NDA. 16% though voted for the India Alliance. And in that 16%, the Thakurs and the Rajputs belong to the upper caste category. There was a bit of disaffection within the Rajput community, and especially in western Uttar Pradesh, the Thakur Rajput community voted for the India Alliance. So there was a bit of defection from the BJP. The Rajputs in the state of Uttar Pradesh are traditionally a BJP vote bank, but some of them defected during 2024 general elections. But the big shift happened where you look at the Jatavs and the non-Jatavs. The NDA got just 29% of the non-Jatav votes. The India Alliance picked up a large chunk, 56% of the non-Jatav votes. And that is where it gets interesting, because the BJP has clearly benign the non-Jatav vote, because the Jatav vote usually goes to the BSP, the rest taken evenly by the India Alliance. The BJP was hoping a large chunk of the non-Jatav vote comes back to the BJP, but this time it didn't. It went to the India Alliance. Therefore, there comes the conundrum, both for the Samajwadi Party and the BJP, because they will now have to get into a balancing act of sorts, because the Samajwadi Party got the non-Jatav, the Dalit vote, you can say, a large chunk of it that the BJP didn't get, because the Samajwadi Party was with the India Alliance. But let me take you through the chronology. Why is it a balancing act for the Samajwadi Party? Samajwadi Party MP Ramji Lal Suman called Rajput ruler Rana Sanga traitor. Suman, a key Dalit leader, while Rajputs are a crucial vote base. Some of them, like I pointed out, voted for the Samajwadi Party. Rajput anger in West UP contributed to BJP's loss in 2024 Lok Sabha elections. Akhilesh's PDA, which is the OBC Dalit minority strategy, helped SP win 37 of, basically helped the of 80 seats. BJP dropped to 33 seats due to Rajput and Dalit disaffection. So the Samajwadi Party here would want to placate both communities, the Dalit community as well as the Rajput community, because they are hoping the disaffection which lay in 2024 Lok Sabha elections with the Rajput community still stays and simmers all the way to 27 Lok Sabha elections. Similarly, they are hoping that the Dalits that voted en masse for the India Alliance continue to stay with the Samajwadi Party and the India Alliance if they fight together where the UP elections are concerned. But the conundrum and the balancing act is not just the Samajwadi parties alone. The BJP is also caught in a catch-22 situation. The BJP does not want to create an anti-Dalit perception, but it doesn't also want to create an anti-Rajput perception. Let's get to the Dalits now. The Dalit community largely voted for India Alliance, like I told you, in Uttar Pradesh in 2024 Lok Sabha elections. The BJP wants to get the Dalits back into the BJP fold. The BJP cautious not to alienate Rajput voters ahead of state polls. BJP strategizing now to win back Rajputs, recognizing their political clout in UP. But the BJP also wants the Dalit votes. And in midst of it all, the Samajwadi Party is saying that it is the BJP that instigated an attack on the house. Of course, it was the Karni Sena, but the Samajwadi Party is suggesting the BJP was hand in glove in the attack, and they're not calling it an attack of an MP who criticized Rana Sanga or called Rana Sangha traitor. They are saying that the BJP instigated an attack on a Dalit leader. Now you get the politics and how it's a tough spot for both the BJP and the Samajwadi Party. So at the back of that, before we get into our political debate, the questions that I asked this evening, the Rana Sangha controversy clearly turning into a hot political potato, which nobody wants. The BJP doesn't want, because the BJP wants every vote, wants Hindu consolidation, wants the Rajputs, Dalits to come together. The Samajwadi Party wants possibly the caste breakup, so the Dalits stay with it and the Rajput little bit vote goes back to the Samajwadi Party. The second question that I asked, can remarks on Rana Sangha lead to caste polarization in UP? We're already witnessing the beginning of that. Thakurs versus Dalits. Who will benefit politically if this really happens? The Samajwadi Party or the Bharatiya Janata Party? Let's take all these questions to our panelists this evening. Joining me, Ghanshyam Tiwari, spokesperson, Samajwadi Party; Tuhin Sinha, national spokesperson, BJP; Sanjay Kumar, co-director, Lokniti CSDS and psephologist. Before we get to our political debate, I'd like to take two quick questions with Sanjay Kumar, and then we're going to let him go and free him of this political tutu meme. So, Mr. Kumar, I want to get you in right in the beginning. And my first question, if it really comes down to a caste kind of polarization in Uttar Pradesh, Dalits versus Rajputs, Thakurs, that is what they are called in UP. Who stands to benefit?
Who it stands to benefit for what? Are we talking about the UP Assembly election?
Yes,
sir. Are we talking about the... because what is the thermometer to figure out what is political benefit? I think the thermometer of measuring political benefit is who forms the government, who wins an election. Elections are almost 2 years away, and it is very difficult to figure out at this moment. Yes, it will generate some heat, but who knows, from now till 2 years, when the elections are due, many things might come up and this issue might die down. I don't see the potential of this issue continuously going on for the next 2 years. If that happens, then we are heading for a different kind of politics in UP. So I think very difficult at this moment to say which party is going to even generate momentum in its favor. But if you look at the size of the two communities, see, the Dalit vote doesn't go en bloc to the Samajwadi Party. Dalit vote is divided. A very large proportion of the Jata vote goes to BSP, still goes to BSP. So whatever may Samajwadi Party may do, I don't think they will be able to generate a huge support base among the Dalits based on this issue. If you look at the Rajput vote, the way Rajput vote is tilted in favor of BJP, leave aside one election, but overall, if you look at the last 10, 20 years, 10 years, you will see that the Rajput vote is tilted more in favor of the BJP. So it is a tight race, very difficult to say which party would certainly gain. But I think maybe the BJP may be able to gain more compared to Samajwadi Party, because BJP does not only get votes among the Rajputs, BJP also has good support base among the Dalits. Samajwadi Party may not be having same support base among the Dalits and the Rajputs. So,
Sanjay ji, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask our producers to play the 2024 data, because, this is just an exercise to look at it politically on how things panned out, and we're putting out your data itself, which is CSDS data, and it does seem to suggest the non-Jata votes. 56% of the non-Jata votes, which in the earlier election in 2019, a huge chunk of this lay with the BJP. 56% of the non-Jata vote went to the India Alliance and only 29% went to the NDA. Now, at that point of time, there was the Samvidhan Khatre Mein Hai narrative, and the India Alliance hoping to constantly build on that narrative, especially the Samajwadi Party, were the PDA concerned. So, of course, elections are to, 2 years away, 2027. But if every small controversy is blown up into a caste polarizing debate, then there could be impact.
This is the Lok Sabha election which you are talking about. True. What happened after the Lok Sabha election, the by-elections to 9 or 10 assembly constituency, you will not find the similar data as we are looking at the Lok Sabha election. Next election is going to be contested largely on which party is likely to form the government. Samvidhan khatre mein hai cannot be a big narrative, because when Samvidhan khatre mein is about the national politics. It's about party which forms the government, because that party only has the right or the capacity to change the constitution, if at all they want to change the constitution. State government doesn't have the capacity to change the constitution. Other issues will dominate, not Samvidhan khatre mein hai. So on that narrative, yes, we see a very different kind of elections in 2024. But the same narrative is not going to hold on, at least as of now, as it looks like to me, that it's not going to hold on in the assembly elections.
All right, fair point. Appreciate you joining us, Sanjay Kumar. I want to quickly bring in Ghanshyam Tiwari, because Ghanshyam Tiwari, at the back of what Sanjay Kumar just said, then it's wishful thinking where your PDA alliance is in question, because there is a clear attempt with Rana Sanga resounding in Parliament by the virtue of the person behind the controversy being Dalit. You're constantly harping on his Dalit identity instead of what he said.
Good evening, Preeti, to you, the viewers, and my fellow co-panelists. There are three important things that the viewer need to know. One, BJP is not solving the problems India needs to face. For example, you look at the Indian Express of today, it will say that IITs have faced the lowest placement rates since 2021. Not one member of parliament will speak about it. So how do you escape the problems India is facing, whether it's employment, price rise? You create issues, you create propaganda on religion. When BJP does that, when it is hunting every day on new propaganda of religion, they encounter something that Mr. Suman, the member of parliament, said. And in response, BJP, which is a out-and-out party which is powered by crony capitalists and castists upper caste. If you look at what Adityanath said in 2022, that he is proud to play the politics of Thakurs. He said that in 2022. If you look at what in December 2024, Amit Shah said that Ambedkar लोग कहते हैं फैशन हो गया है, इतना नाम भगवान का लेते तो स्वर्ग चले जाते. These are the people who believe in Manusmriti. They don't believe in empowerment of backwards Dalits in India. So as a result, now they have encountered a situation where the most casteist and aggressive people in BJP are up against this issue that if a Dalit member of parliament speaks up, they are going to break his house, break his caste, threaten his life, and by that they are going to say that this is the kind of model that we want. Whether it impacts 2027 or not, it is communicating a clear message that BJP is anti-Dalit. It will not allow a Dalit, even if he is a member of parliament, to stand up, speak up and say what he wants to say. And if he says what he says, then the parliament will debate it. When the goons of BJP will come and break his house, the goons of BJP will come and break his cars. In a party that has continuously abused Nehru, a party who has people who pray to Nathuram Godse, a party whose antecedents, whose organizations such as RSS, ideological organization, distributed sweets when Mahatma Gandhi was assassinated, cannot come and preach that how do we respect our heroes. But they are doing that.
Your time is up, Ghanshyam Tiwari. I'll come back to you. I want to bring in Tuhin Sena into this conversation. You know, Tuhin Sena, forget about the political impact of it in Uttar Pradesh. Let's ask a larger question here. A comedian makes a statement which is unsavory to a political leader. The place where he makes that statement is vandalized. Multiple FIRs are slapped. A member of parliament makes a statement which is unsavory to a particular community. His house in Agra is completely vandalized by the Karni Sena, and the government does absolutely nothing about it. Many suggest are hand in glove in it.
Well, good evening, Preeti. Good evening, everybody. Are you, I thought you were trying to say the, Samajwadi MP is a comedian, but he's not. The fact is that Samajwadi Party has indulged in a very malified, in a very nefarious attempt once again to stoke divisions within the Hindu community. The entire attempt to paint Rana Sangha as a traitor, which is completely opposite of the truth. Rana Sangha was one of the bravest rulers of Mewar. At one point of time, he would operate with 80 wounds on his body. He defeated Ibrahim Lodi twice. He won around 100 battles in his life, except for one battle which he lost. To paint such a person as a traitor, what was the intention of that? Coming from Samajwadi Party, it had a clear twofold intention. One obviously was its minority vote bank. Somehow, they wanted to make it seem that Babar was a good guy who was brought into India by an Indian traitor, which is absolutely contrary to the truth. But number two, it also wanted to stoke caste divisions in Uttar Pradesh, which is very evident. And why did they want to do it? Because of the massive Hindu unity which they saw during Mahakumbh. And throughout Mahakumbh, you have seen the kind of preposterous statements coming from all Samajwadi Party leaders, including, the most despicable one from Jaya Bachchan, wherein she said, "Lashe beh rahi hai," which was a clear attempt to manufacture chaos in that region. But anyway, the larger point is that Samajwadi Party will not succeed in it, no matter what they do. The development model of Yogi Ji plus the Hindu unity, which the country has witnessed post 2024 Lok Sabha elections, will make sure that such machinations of the Samajwadi Party is conclusively and effectively defeated. And Samajwadi Party is a party, when they were in government, they would make requests to the court to exonerate terrorists. So we know the credibility of this party. We know its potential to manufacture.
Karni Sena, your time is up. I'm going to cut across back to Ghanshyam Tiwari, but allow me a question. I'm going to give you 2 more minutes. Let's say every allegations you've laid at the doorstep of Samajwadi Party is correct. I am with you. You're preaching to the choir when you praise Rana Sanga and his bravery. But if somebody calls Rana Sanga a traitor, because the question that I asked you and I didn't get an answer on was Tuhin Sinha, how is it all right to go and vandalize his house? How is it all right that no action is taken against the Karni Sena? How is it all right that one will sit here and defend that action in the name of the bravery of Rana Sanga?
I'm not defending it. I have never defended it. I didn't defend it. No violence in any form can be condoned. But fact is, these are natural reactions. If I talk ill of your predecessor, you will feel hurt. But obviously, the protesters are not as
You are defending that, Tuhin Sinha, then. If you are saying it's a reaction, then, you can go back, to that saying which many of us really don't want to say, that every action has a reaction. It was made in a political context as well. Why is it so difficult it's a basic question, sir. You can have a political debate. We can talk about the bravery of Rana Sanga. Why is it so difficult to condemn action which has taken place where you can see arson, vandalism,
action will be taken. That there are situations which flare up suddenly and for which the administration takes its time. But we have seen action in Uttar Pradesh. In Uttar Pradesh, law and order is handled in the most effective manner. But yes,
Fair point.
I said, there are instances.
Fair point, sir. Fair point, but I don't think, I'd like to, I would say many would like to put their money on if bulldozers are going to roll at the back of action taken against the goons who vandalize property, public property at that, some of them. I want to bring in Ghanshyam Tiwari back into this conversation. But Ghanshyam Tiwari, let's flip this around, because what Tuhin Sinha said, what you're doing today, you're only fanning the flames of caste polarization in a state which is already sitting on a tinderbox. To make this more about Dalit identity and possibly less about what he said, you're playing with the worst form of politics.
When you have an entire party, Preeti, going around with kerosene and petrol, looking for flames. When they look at Kerala, they look at the Kerala story. That's what Kerala for them is. When they come to UP election, they say batenge katenge. They say 80-20 election. You look at the number of hate speeches BJP makes regularly. They may not be singing the national anthem as many times as people are making hate speeches. So when you have an entire party which is in power, running around with petrol and diesel to look at flames, this is what happens. Now coming to the whole point of action and reaction that Tuhin spoke about. अभी एक फैशन हो गया है अंबेडकर 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 इतना नाम अगर भगवान का लेते तो 7 जन्मों तक स्वर्ग मिल जाता. This is Amit Shah. What action was taken? What action was taken against Ramesh Viduri? What action was taken against the noted member of parliament who insulted the women wrestlers of India? The BJP as a party is morally bankrupt. Right now they are very powerful, but they are morally bankrupt. And when this morally bankrupt party goes and assaults everything that they see in front of a house of a Dalit member of parliament who spoke his mind, whether it is factually right or wrong, you can criticize them. But to go in like this, to break every car that is in front of his house, to break his house, and chief minister who has openly said that I am proud to be a Thakur politician, this shows the mindset of the party, the mindset of Amit Shah, the mindset of RSS, that they are anti-Dalit. They don't want caste census. They don't want backwards and Dalits in this country to rise, and they will use the Hindu-Muslim propaganda to ensure that this model of upper caste casteism that allows the crony capitalists to grow, that allows few people to benefit, will continue, and people like
before I go back to Tuhin Sena, Ghanshyam Tiwari, I want to ask you a very quick question, because you have rights to criticize and question the chief minister speaking of a particular Thakur lobby. But it becomes a little rich, because anyone who's followed UP politics, and Ghanshyam Tiwari, you would know very well your own history, where you've had your own party patriarch, Mulayam Singh Yadav, standing on a dais and openly talking about Yadav support and Muslim support.
We believe in Lohiya and Ambedkar. We believe that thousands of years of injustice that has been meted out to Dalits has to be undone. That has been meted out to the backward caste has to be undone.
So Ghanshyam Tiwari, you'd admit this is a new policy that you've adopted under Akhilesh Yadav? From MY, it's PDA. At least there's admittance of that. It's fine to learn in politics.
The latest MY is Modi and Yogi. Let's not. What we are talking about.
As long as you admit it is the latest MY, because the erstwhile MY was Muslim and Yadav. So I'll just go. I'll come back to you. I want to bring in Tuhin Sena back into this conversation. Tuhin Sena, once again, I'll come down to the sheer fact. We can go into many debates where we constantly criticize what this particular MP says. I don't even want to harp on his identity. What he said was incorrect, should have been criticized, debated. But abject brute force being used on the streets, and it's not one occasion, it's not one instance. Anything unsavory which is being said is dealt with violence.
Well, violence in any form has to be condemned, and we condemn it. But Karni Sena is not BJP. Karni Sena has nothing to do with BJP. A few years ago, they were protesting against a movie. Was that at the behest of BJP? The point is that there are certain people, there are certain elements in our society, whether it is Kunal Kamra or whether it is this MP, who has been suddenly brought up by the Samajwadi Party. The whole intent, the whole purpose of them is to provoke certain sections of society, is to provoke the emotions and especially the lineage of people. Facts concerning the lineage of people, and such provocations sometimes have a big impact, which we are witnessing. Obviously, the violence will be controlled, and you will see the violent protesters being taken to task. But I think the initial reaction shows the quantum of hurt, the quantum of the provocation that existed.
All right, well, Tuhin Sena, I don't see, Kunal Kamra, and I did hear his podcast, and correct me if I'm wrong, he didn't criticize Eknath Shinde's lineage of being Maratha.
No, please, first.
I didn't hear that, did you?
No, I'm talking about the Samajwadi Party MP over here. As far as Kamra is here, please, you may talk about him. I don't consider him a comedian. Somebody whose only purpose is to slander people. He is, the henchman of
Well, take him on legally in court, because the court today has given a sobering message. Tuhin Sena, the court today has given a sobering message where the top court of the country has practically said that freedom of speech cannot be at the behest of certain insecure people. You can make what you
freedom to
might
provoke
want
should also not be that way.
Deal with him in court? You vandalize, is it fair to vandalize? Once again, we'll come back to the... But Tuhin Sena, once again, we come back to it. That he doesn't have the right to provoke, but if he has, you deal with him in court with defamation, no?
We will
not
deal
with
with
vandalism.
him in court. Of course, we will deal with him in court, and we will deal with him in other courts which are within our powers.
But a court of law, not a kangaroo court, I hope. But I want to bring in last one minute. Allow me, sir. Ghanshyam Tiwari, this politics which the Samajwadi Party is resorting to in the state of Uttar Pradesh will only backfire. That is what the BJP says. 1 minute, sir.
To your viewers, I want to say that you have a national party which is hunting across the country with petrol and diesel to find a flame whenever they can find. And what will be burnt is the future of our youth, because they would not discuss employment. They will not discuss the fact that people in IITs are not getting placed. They will not discuss that Indian students in US are getting thrashed, sent back. They are worried. They will not discuss what is happening with H1B green card. They will not discuss what's happening to the stock market. And because they are failing at every level. They are failing to improve the lives of 140 crore Indians that voted this government in. And because they are failing and they don't have answers, Adityanath will not have an answer for your child's employment. Adityanath will not have answer for price rise. Mr. Modi has already checked out on these issues. So they will continue to find one statement of some MP, some politician here and there, so that the propaganda, the fuel that they want to inflame your emotions will continue. But when people vote, they will know that their real issues will matter. That is our hope, that is our aspiration.
1 minute to Karni Sena, closing comments, sir.
Well, the number of times my friend Ghanshyam says that हमने kerosene छिड़क दी है, it almost seems that he has joined Rahul Gandhi. But anyway, the larger point is that he has listed many issues which we are not discussing. Is Samajwadi Party ready to discuss the immigration and foreigners bill? Are they ready to discuss the Waqf Act? There are, this has been one of the most productive parliament sessions, and he's saying nothing is being discussed. Every day a new bill has been introduced. Every day robust discussions have taken place. And even in the last 10 years, since he believes that nothing has happened in the country, let me tell you about the 25 crore people who have been brought out of poverty, the 100% electrification of homes, the massive infrastructure creation across the country. So we have enough issues to discuss. I think the Samajwadi Party should grow out of its toxic mentality to divide the Hindu community on the basis of caste. And what they have done through this particular member of parliament is malified, it is sinister, and I think it needs to be condemned unequivocally.
All right, I appreciate both of you for joining us. We're going to let it be. Let our viewers decide on what side of the fence that they stand on.
Big verdict from the top court of the country, with a bigger message to our political class. The apex court today upheld free speech. Junking FIR filed by the Gujarat Police against Congress MP Imran Pratapgadi, calling free speech integral part of healthy society. A bench comprising Justices Abhay S. Oka and Ujjwal Bhuyan held that no offence was made out, criticizing the overzealousness of the Gujarat Police in initiating action against Mr. Pratapgadi. The Supreme Court said that restrictions on speech must be reasonable, not fanciful, stressing that Article 19(2) of the Constitution cannot overshadow the freedoms guaranteed under Article 19(1). Without freedom of expression of thoughts and views, it is impossible to lead a dignified life as guaranteed under Article 21 of the Constitution. In a healthy democracy, differing views must be countered with counter-speech, not suppression. The court said literature, including poetry, drama, films, stand-up comedy, satire and art, makes life more meaningful. The remarks come on the middle of a massive political row involving stand-up comedian Kunal Kamra and what he said in his set about Maharashtra Deputy Chief Minister Eknath Shinde. Big message from the top court. Will our political class listen? That is our top focus. On to the point this evening.
That also makes our top question that I ask this evening in our second debate. Free speech message by the top court, but will our political class listen? That's what we are asking. Second question, are we strangely in a dangerous phase of complete defiance of court guidelines? Not just about free speech, viewers, the court has laid very strict guidelines where bulldozers are concerned. Yet we see bulldozers rolling across the country. The third question that I ask this evening, free speech hostage to interpretation of judges, because Imran Pratapgadi might have gotten lucky with these two judges. But we've seen in the past where some other judge would interpret something not as freedom of speech, but incitement to violence. So somewhere down the line, is free speech just how the bench or the judge interprets it? Let's take it to our political face-off this evening. Shaina NC, leader Shiv Sena, Charan Singh Sapra, national spokesperson, Congress. Shaina NC, I'd like to begin with you, and I'd like to quote what the Supreme Court said today, because the larger sobering message should also be knocking on Maharashtra's doorstep, where the top court of the country and the learned bench said that free speech is practically held hostage by insecure people. I don't know, are they talking about Eknath Shinde, your leader and deputy chief minister?
Clearly not. There are lots of references to context, Preeti, but I think Article 19.1 is clear enough. Restrictions on speech, how do you define what is reasonable and what is fanciful is for the honorable courts to interpret. But as far as we are concerned, and the Kunal Kamra's case is concerned, he was absolutely a puppet under the guise of being a comedian. So that's a different story altogether. And who gives him the right under freedom of expression to be vulgar? Who gives him the right under freedom of expression and speech to call our leader a traitor? Nobody can cross the Lakshman Rekha and should not. And I'm glad that the Honorable Court has also viewed the differing views can be countered with differing opinion. But suppression is not the only form, but we would want healthy debate and dialogue, but you cannot use condescending terms. Preeti, it's important to understand that where humor stops, humiliation can't start. So you cannot equate humor with humiliation. And when it comes to even literature, poetry, comedy, films, the list is endless. Humor is the essence of life. But there were stalwarts like R.K. Lakshman, Mario Miranda, Balasaheb Thackeray himself, who always used tongue-in-cheek and humor without hurting people and their emotions. So I think the apex court holding for free speech is welcome, but also understanding that case to case it differs. And when you have an FIR registered, I mean, different people react to different situations differently. Preeti, we may discuss in a television debate. Somebody else may take to the streets. Somebody else may feel that, oh, this leader has impacted our lives so much that how can you use such adjectives and how can you be a puppet at the hands of certain political clowns who just want to, hog the limelight or get their own traction out of a controversy.
Okay.
So I think every case...
your time is up. You were given 2 minutes. I'll come back to you. I'll circle back to you. And, possibly a question we must address is something we all know, because it all depends who draws that Lakshman Rekha. It's very, subjective. Number one. Number two, even if humor turns into humiliation, is violence something that should be accorded to, no matter how humiliated somebody gets? We're going to come back to that. Charan Singh Sapra, I'm going to bring you in. Because Charan Singh Sapra, today, you might sit on a high moral ground and, preach to Shine INC, in this case, on the values of freedom of speech. But even your government, even your allies, you were in government with the Shiv Sena under Uddhav Thackeray, multiple accounts that the same Shiv Sena felt humiliated and went on to physically attack somebody or resorted to violence. I'll give you an example of the Rajasthan police at that point of time under Mr. Ashok Gehlot came knocking on a journalist's door in Delhi because they thought what he said was unsavory.
See, Preeti, number one, I would like to say that the Supreme Court has given a landmark judgment today. And very clearly, they have said that Article 19.2 cannot overshadow the freedom of speech given under Article 19.1. So 19.1 has to be safeguarded. This is the prime thing what the court has said. And now, as far as you are trying to give some examples of during the Congress rule or maybe the Mahavikas Aghadi rule, I can also give you hundreds of examples of BJP during the BJP rule. And I can also give few examples in which even the Congress leaders were criticized everywhere on every stage. The court has rightly said that criticism in form of drama, poetry, or maybe art, that should be welcome. And Narendra Modi himself in a podcast few days ago, he has said that criticism should be welcomed. So what is the BJP or the Mahayuti leaders talking about? They don't listen to their own Prime Minister, to Narendra Modi. So the issue is that, let me also remind you that the Sony TV in Comedy Circus also had a broadcast in which Manmohan Singh and Sonia Gandhi ji was shown, and an elaborate, like a nearly 20 minutes play was shown over there in the Comedy Circus. We did not object. There are so many films which have come on Srimati Indira Gandhi and various other Congress leaders. We have not objected to that. And what is happening in this case is that leaders of high-ranking leaders like Naresh Maske, the Member Parliament, Sanjay Nirupam, various other leaders, 2 ministers, Shambhuraj Desai, and Yogesh Kadam, they are saying कि Kunal Kamra को हम टायर में डाल के जला देंगे. So what is this happening? This is the politics of oppression. This is the politics of suppression. They can't suppress the feelings. They can't suppress the criticism. Should be welcomed, and criticism should be tackled with a counter speech. If they don't have a counter speech, then that is
okay. Your time is up. Your time is up. Shaina NC, while you made your submissions, one of my producers has actually sent me a lot of cartoons by R.K. Lakshman, and some of them actually made quite a bit of fun of Bal Sahib Thackeray as well, and they both enjoyed a very, very close relationship, and I think you'd understand that. The fact is, Shaina NC...
making fun is one thing, Preeti. But I think that we understand that when there's repartee, it's an exchange of commentary.
No, it wasn't an exchange. He had taken offense. He had taken offense.
You've never called somebody a traitor.
Okay, but the fact is, Shaina, just the question before we start your timer, it stems from the fact, of course, that our politicians, whichever side of the divide, have grown a very thin skin, number one, whether you admit it or not. Number two, with whatever you said, no matter he was a puppet, a staged puppet, he came from a political ideology, he said something which was completely wrong, humiliation. How is it that there is a defense of the violence that was conducted at the back of it?
I'm glad you've come to this point too. But first, I want to highlight that 2.5 years when Eknath Shinde was the then Chief Minister of Maharashtra, you didn't have one case of anyone being arrested, going to jail, irrespective. There were so many, journalists also who wrote against us, wrote for us, and there were counter opinions, contrarian opinions, not once. Cut to, you look at Uddhav Thackeray, don't forget what happened with Ketki Chitale. Don't forget what happened with a Navy officer. The Sainiks then, prior to the current scenario, put people behind bars and behind bars for a long period of time. Now, if you look at the current scenario, you talked about R.K. Lakshman. Yes, of course, critique, commentary, but don't humiliate. And if you are going to be this classist, elitist comment of saying that a rickshawala cannot become the Chief Minister of Maharashtra and the most popular Deputy Chief Minister who has done work on ground, impacted
But at the cost of coming in, Shaina NC, deal with him in court is the question.
The cadre will respond differently. For every action, you have a reaction. It's not as if 12 people were not arrested. Of course, law should take its course. Of course, the police should do its job, and they have done so. 12 people were arrested. But to constantly say that, oh, what was this violence? I mean, you humiliate my leader to the extent of making it out to be that an aspirational story of a rickshawala cannot become the chief minister. He is a traitor, he's a gaddar, which is all nonsense. Because when he left, we know what has happened. The reality is the timing is question and suspect. It's a diversionary tactic in this case. And please note that 2024, the mandate for Eknath Shinde and the Shiv Sena has been so astounding that obviously certain people have no option but to use stooges like Kunal Kamra to play this puppet role at a question time, which is obviously very suspect to all our minds. And yes, the reaction could have been different, but different people react differently, and the law does take its course.
Well, that's the point, is every time you attach a but to it, you lose the essence of the criticism there, Shaina NC, and you know that better. But Charan Singh Sapra, I want to bring you in, because the sad part is, Charan Singh Sapra, where you said, it's all about whataboutery, isn't it? Because you'll have a Shaina NC, and she's very correct, where she named, I can add 3 more to the list of the naval officer, Ketki Chitale, Saad Ansari. There are many there. And you also recall, okay, this might have happened, but this didn't happen. It's all about whataboutery. It's about what suits you politically.
See, Preeti, if we go into such examples, let me tell you that the BJP leaders, right from Gully to Delhi, have been talking all this, the kind of hate speeches. More than a dozen leaders of BJP are there in the country who are always giving hate speeches. I should not take their names also today. So what is BJP wanting, or the Mahayuti wanting? They are going to decide, they are going to certify what is abusive and what is not abusive. Then there is no law. Then ultimately what happens, the courts have to take decision, like they have taken decision today in the case of Imran Pratapgadi. Similar thing might come in the case of Kunal Kamra also. So finally what happens कि ये देश के अंदर, मतलब ये देश जो है ये कोर्ट भरोसे चलेगा या राम भरोसे चलेगा, ये संविधान से नहीं चलेगा. The issue is that, and if I keep giving examples, then I can also say that Prime Minister standing in Parliament He insulted Renuka Choudhry by saying Supur Nakha. Srimati Sonia Gandhi jersey guy. Dr. Manmohan Singh raincoat pehen ke nahate hain. Night watchman. I can give you hundreds of examples like this, where Prime Minister Narendra. What about Ramesh Biduri? Ramesh Biduri in Parliament when the House was going on. What did he say? कटुए ये वो क्या क्या चीजें नहीं बोली है. अनुराग ठाकुर ने क्या क्या चीजें नहीं बोली है. देश के गद्दारों को गोली मारो सालों को. So why no cases on them? Why no cases when BJP leaders are doing water poetry and hate speeches? So this shows कि सैया भय कोतवाल तब डर काहे का. They know that it's our government. So that's why all the Shiv Sainiks entered there and vandalized the entire hotel. Now tell me, what is the fault of that hotel or the venue which was there? There was no fault of the venue person, but the whole venue was vandalized. The hotel was vandalized, and also the BMC went and they took a action which was either necessary or not necessary, either legal or not legal.
Okay.
That we have to decide later.
Your time is up. I'll give you 1 minute each and I'll come back to the second question that we asked. Shaina NC, the fact is there seems to be complete disregard of every guideline by the Supreme Court. Number one, on free speech. Number two, and even your government did so, after what the Supreme Court said about bulldozers, very clearly calling it unconstitutional. Bulldozers rolled in Nagpur, only to then be, wrapped by the High Court.
No, see, when it comes to the BMC acting or restrictions, when it comes to what is legit, what is not, obviously we all believe that it should be in accordance with law. But if there are violations, why shouldn't those violations be acted on? I don't think this is a competition of what happened where. You talked about Nagpur. Nagpur was a clear case of a instigation to destabilize Maharashtra, the most peaceful state and the most peaceful city, which has actually been lauded for its Sanskriti and Sabhyata. And there you had this gang of Fahim Khan, etc., who only wanted to destabilize what was going on. And I think that to really bring situations under control, it has to be the prerogative of the government of the day too. Devendra Fadnavis, as Chief Minister, I think has done a fantastic job of getting people on board and the authorities acting where they needed to and getting the situation under control. So I don't think we can compare both. But I do want to say, when you call somebody a penguin and you put them in prison, what does that mean?
No, fair point. I agree with all of that. But like I said, the Supreme Court took a call, said very clearly unconstitutional if bulldozers roll. Yes, 1 minute, sir. Go ahead and I'm closing the show.
See, now Shaina is saying that Nagpur and this vandalization in Mumbai at Unicontinental Hotel cannot be kept at par. Why? Nagpur was also a riot. What happened in Hotel Unicontinental was equivalent to a riot. If there can be bulldozer in Nagpur, why this government is not sending bulldozers to the Shiv Sainiks who have vandalized the hotel? You can't differentiate like this. There cannot be two standards. There cannot be two set of rules. This is not the way governments are run. That's why the Supreme Courts or the High Courts, they have to interfere. And they have to show the government their place. They have to show BJP their place, that you are doing wrong. This is what is called Hitler-Shahi, Tana-Shahi. That's what BJP is trying to do. Similar things happened in Nagpur and similar thing has happened in Hotel Intercontinental. So you can't differentiate like this.
Okay. Well, that's all the time that we have for now. Appreciate both of you for joining us. Thank you there.